The Harry Maguire days at Manchester United look like they're over, and it looks like they're coming to an end slowly by slowly. And Erik ten Hag is obviously trying to show the board that when I show you or when I tell you that I don't want a player here, I mean it and I mean business. Welcome to this channel. Smash the like button, comment and share. Good morning. It's a Saturday. Hope you guys really having a fantastic day with your loved ones, your parents and your friends, because it's obviously weekend. Most people are not at work, but for us, as usual, every day is working time, and we've gone ahead to obviously bring you our other video on the day, and we call upon for 300 likes. Make sure this video, and don't forget to subscribe if you're watching us for the very first time, or you've always watched us and you've not subscribed. And after subscribing, hit the notification bell. That will enable you get notified every time we upload a video onto our YouTube channel. Not so? So guys, it's always nice being on this channel, and I am really geared up. We are talking Harry Maguire, Ten Hag identifying his replacement, his former manager coming out and obviously issuing him advice that he should leave the club of Manchester United. There is a young defender at Manchester United at the age of 16 that has gone ahead to refuse to sign a new contract with Man United, and City have gone ahead to hijack him. And lastly, we are going to discuss about Vincent Kompany, a manager that Erik ten Hag is facing for the very first time in the Premier League, to obviously find himself doing what he had to do for the club of Manchester United, and what the plan is, and how he has gone ahead to give his flowers to Erik ten Hag. Now, where do we start it from? Let's start it off from this young man that Erik ten Hag is going to identify, it obviously coming through as a Harry Maguire replacement. Now, we've been told that a new centre-back is a priority for Manchester United. It's likely that someone like Antonio Silva will be the first choice to replace Harry Maguire. Now, if you know that Ten Hag doesn't want Harry Maguire at the club of Manchester United, and he is trying his very best to see that he obviously gets rid of him, and he has gone ahead to add another 19-year-old onto his list to come in and play for the club of Manchester United. Why a 19-year-old? Because he's 19 years of age and he plays for a side called Benfica and the Portugal national team. This guy is really João Pedro Pereira Antonio. Last season, he played 30 games in the Premier La Liga, that is the main league of Portugal, and he scored 3 goals. This season is going to head to play 5 games, 0 goals, 0 assists, and last season in the Champions League he played 10 games and he scored 2 goals. He's a very good player, and I don't know exactly how much it's going to cost, because Benfica tend to sell their players expensively. But even if you go on and obviously pay some huge amount of money for a player like him, maybe 40 or 50 million pounds, as a 19-year-old, having been assessed by Erik ten Hag and his values and mentality, it's always better to come in through the club of Manchester United. Why Antonio Silva? Because Ten Hag believes in obviously getting in raw talent. Like I was going to hate to do it for Rasmus Højlund, and he's obviously going to show. He has obviously shown us that he's going to hate to fit into that team of Manchester United like a glove. And now Ten Hag believes that he needs to obviously combine or glue up the old and the young, because that team of Man United really had some players that are really in their 30s, and they are very many. Look at Harry Maguire, 30 years of age, Varane, 30 years of age. Look at Casemiro, 31 years of age. Eriksen, 31 years of age. Bruno Fernandes is 29, right? So when you're having players who are in your starting 11 and close to 5 of them are in their early 30s, that means you have to obviously reinforce your squad by getting in some young talent, because as these players who are in their mid-20s try to hit their 30s, these ones like the Antonio Silvas, if at all we sign him, will be in their mid-20s, the Rasmus Højlunds of this world, and very many others. So that's what the manager is all about, and I think he has gone ahead to make a right choice for a player to replace Harry Maguire. And I don't know exactly what is the Harry Maguire's ahead, because if the manager has told you I'm not going to use you, he has gone ahead to take away the captaincy from you. Secondly, he also showed you last season that you're not going to play any game if at all my players are really fit, and you stay here at the club of Manchester United. West Ham came in through and you said you want to be compensated for your salary, meaning that you are here for the money. That is it. And I think it's high time this player really left the club of Manchester United, because even his former coach at Sheffield has gone ahead and obviously told him, leave Manchester United. This is Steve Bruce, his former manager at Sheffield United. He has said, Harry Maguire needs to go and find his career again, and he needs to feel respected. I thought with David Moyes in charge at West Ham that it would have been a really good gift. So he blocked the move of him joining West Ham in favor of the money he wanted. And it shows you that he's here for the money, because if he was a player who wanted to play, he would have gone ahead to accept £7 million from Manchester United, and then he left in peace. But for Harry Maguire, he said no, and he is still here at the club of Manchester United. And by the way, for David Moyes, would have gone ahead to obviously reinstate him as the new captain of West Ham, because Declan Rice had left, and he saw him as the best captain for the club. But for Harry Maguire, he overlooked all this and said, I'm going to stay at Manchester United to fight for my position, a position that he has already lost for a second season in a row, and the manager is not willing to obviously play him in any of those positions. Then Steve Bruce on Harry Maguire, he continued and said, I personally think that I would have moved on, because once the manager has showed his cards and made it clear that you won't be playing, then you need to move on. Obviously, Ten Hag has shown Harry Maguire that you are not the quality of player I need in my team. But Harry Maguire is insisting to stay at the club of Manchester United. That is really the ugly bit of it. It's really the ugly bit of it. And Harry Maguire needs to style up in a nick of time, because it's really getting worse for him. And for Ten Hag, he's willing to do everything to get in a replacement for him. And players for sale are really huge, because in the January transfer window, trust me, Donny van Beek will leave, Scott McTominay will leave, Sancho might leave, and in that amount of money collected, he can tell the board, get me a right-footed centre-back. Because for Scott McTominay, if we can get £30 million from him, then we can get in a right-sided centre-back. Do you know why? Our midfield is obviously covered up. Sofiane Amrabat, Casemiro, Kobe Menu, Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, and Eriksson. We are having 6 or 7 midfielders to get that role done and dusted. Even Hannibal is there in waiting. So if we offload those players, we won't be having a deficit into that midfield of Manchester United, meaning that we can use that amount of money from Scott McTominay to get ourselves to where we deserve to be as the club of Manchester United. So thank you very much for watching it through, and hope you're going to hate to hear what his former manager at Sheffield is going to hate to say to him, that if the manager shows you that he does not want you, then why do you keep at the club? Just leave, because the manager doesn't want you. And I know for Harry Maguire, he might believe that staying at Manchester United will be buying time for himself, to see to it that he gets in a perfect club to obviously sign him. I don't believe there is an elite club in Premier League that can obviously sign Harry Maguire. It's not there. That's why I saw to it that teams like Everton, teams like West Ham were in for him. The likes of Newcastle couldn't come close to him. The likes of Spurs couldn't come to close Harry Maguire, because he's calamitous, and he has gone ahead to prove it on several occasions. Even the place where he has been performing very well at the English national team, he saw England concede a goal against Ukraine and score in his own net as they played against Scotland in the recently concluded friendly. It shows you that he's losing even his touch to the team of the England national team. So wait and see how that pans out. But he also went ahead and obviously had to say something about the way Harry Maguire is abused. And I don't take it as an abuse, because he's not being abused. He's being criticized for his bad performances. Steve Bruce said, I think the abuse of Harry Maguire has gotten to a level that I don't think any of us have ever seen before. He's always the subject of frustration from Man United supporters whenever he makes a mistake. Obviously, he's not the only player that's going to have to make a mistake. That's what you should know. Why is it that for him, it's obviously worse? Because he has done this season in, season out. He is really that kind of player that has gone ahead to obviously show us that he's just a mistake away from him. Mistake is like his other name that we need to baptize him in the short time coming in through, because he has gone ahead to do lots of things that affect the club of Manchester United to the bone marrow. And I don't see it as being attacked and abused, but these fans think that the player was paid for 80 million pounds, and is he putting in performances worth 80 million pounds? That's the question that these people are obviously questioning. And when someone asks a question and slates you for the bad job done at the club of Manchester United, that's not an abuse, because, mate, you are being paid £200,000 a week at the club of Manchester United, and the manager's shown that doesn't want you at the club, and you're insisting to stay by obviously putting their blocking factors of calling in for huge amounts of compensation, close to £15 million, to leave the club. That is really ridiculous of this player. So I don't find it sane at any moment for the club of Manchester United to obviously keep Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire is doing himself a disservice to really force himself stay at the club of Manchester United. Then we are having a story coming in from Fabrizio Romano for a 16-year-old. Man City have agreed a deal to sign Harrison Parker from Manchester United. The 16-year-old centre-back was offered more money by United but chose to join Manchester City. That is it coming in from Fabrizio Romano. He's a very good, talented player, and I think City are just revenging, because we went ahead to take away the Fletcher twins and brought them at Manchester United. So they had to look through our academy and obviously also go ahead and obviously pick out one of the players that we might see as the best. And you see him on the screen. He's just 16 years of age. Harrison Parker has left Manchester United and is going to join Manchester City. Remember, Man City is having one of the great academies. That's why they're really getting in more money and selling good players to teams like Southampton. You saw they sold Lavia. You know, look at like Palmer, a player who was signed in the academy, sold to Man City for £45 million. You know, and they're still having more talent. They're obviously selling and selling and selling, and they're really doing great. Now, this player leaves, and I think a replacement will be gotten by the club of Manchester United. But the United wanted to keep him. They offered him more money, but Man City looked like had gone ahead to convince the parents better and better and better. You know, keeping these young players is really hard if at all the parent has not gone ahead to obviously have it sink in his head. But the moment it sinks in his head, obviously, he can really advise the lad to stay at the club. But the moment it's not done that way, then it's a different scenario altogether of business. Now, we go to Vincent Kompany and what he said about the game of United versus Burnley. He was first asked whether this is the good time to play Manchester United. He said it depends how you look at it. My concern is with me. My concern is with what we have to do. I have to prepare my team to face the best possible Man United team with momentum, ambition, all their problems behind them, and at their best. That is what Vincent Kompany really said, that he's preparing his team to obviously take on Manchester United. And guess what? He's obviously playing Manchester United as a player for the very first time into the Premier League. Remember, last season, he played against Manchester United in, was it the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, All Carabao Cup, end of the two at Old Trafford, and he suffered a loss of, was it 3-0? I think 3-0 at Old Trafford. So it shows you exactly that he knows the threat ahead of him, and he knows the trouble that he's yet to face as a manager of Burnley. Now, he went ahead and obviously expressed his thoughts about facing teams like the caliber, all teams with the caliber of Manchester United. He said, teams of the caliber of Man United, we have not been able to put in a 100-minute performance. We have been a threat, but got punished in the moments we weren't a threat. Can we step it up and get a result against one of the top teams in the league? That was his question. So he believes that they've not been able to get a chance to obviously win, especially if at all you watch that opening game when they played Man City. They created very many chances, but those chances really ended into a very huge reign because they couldn't convert those goals to the back of the net. And if at all they come to Man United like how they did, I think United just need to do one thing. Obviously, score their goals. If at all United scores their goals and obviously make their chances count, then this Kompany and his team will obviously have nothing to do and to say to the club. You know, he was the former captain of Man City. He has that grudge. He believes that his team can obviously come up and live up to the occasion to obviously stop us, but I don't see it. I don't see Burnley doing something hazardous to the club of Manchester United at their stadium. If at all they do, I'm going to be really shocked, and these players will be answerable because we scored 3 goals at Bayern Munich. That means we can obviously continue to score more and more goals in their stadium known as Turf Moor anytime from now. So that is it coming in from Vincent Kompany, and his last input was all about Erik ten Hag and how he's going to have to deal with the issues at Manchester United. Vincent Kompany said, "You always need time to adapt and improve, not just for Erik ten Hag, but all of us. One thing this manager has demonstrated is that he's extremely capable. There is no doubting that." So he's backing Erik ten Hag for the job of Manchester United. And obviously, talking of the issues at Manchester United that Erik ten Hag is going to hate to really face, I think no manager is going to hate to face them. I've seen people referring Erik ten Hag to what Mikel Arteta went ahead to do. But let me tell you, you can't put Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the same ilk with Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo is one of the greats that are going to have to play the game at the highest level. He's one of the goats in this game. But Ten Hag trimmed his wings and obviously saw him leave the club of Manchester United. You know, for Arteta, he had Aubameyang, he had Ozil. Those were easy to throw under the bus because their influence was not huge because they're obviously deteriorating. But Cristiano Ronaldo had just scored 18 goals last season and 6 in the Champions League at the club of Manchester United. And he has his own fans, all the FC that supports Cristiano Ronaldo. Then, the other problem that Arteta had to deal with was obviously offloading players. And for him, it was okay because the board was willing to offload players. And that board of Arsenal has shown us that getting rid of those players is really easy enough. But for Erik ten Hag, he had to dethrone the captain, obviously, and really get in another captain, you know, that is Harry Maguire and English. And for Arteta, he never had to deal with any of the English players at the club of Arsenal. That is it. You know, but for Erik ten Hag, he had to deal with players like Harry Maguire, you know, now Jadon Sancho coming out and obviously putting out a post that replied the manager after the words he put out against the game of Arsenal. Did Arteta reach to that level? I don't really think so. Amidst everything that really went bad in the second season of Arteta as the manager of Arsenal, he never got resistance from the players. He used to throw players in the bus and obviously reinstated his hand and power onto the club. That is something that Erik ten Hag is not going to get. And he's obviously acting very well, and you can love exactly what he's doing at the club of Manchester United. And I think we are going to turn it around. It's only one win that will obviously take us to where we want to be. Win against Burnley today, the moment win against Burnley tonight, all that nonsense being spread around that there are leaks in the dressing room, players are really not in the same ilk with Erik ten Hag, will be obviously leaving and disappearing immediately. So guys, your thoughts on Harry Maguire's career at United over are welcome in the comment section below. What do you make about Steve Bruce, the former manager of Harry Maguire, coming out and telling him that please leave Manchester United? Should Harry Maguire take the advice or not take it? What do you make about the 16-year-old that's going to hate to sign for Man City, rejecting United? He has been at United for very many years, and now he goes to sign for the City side. And what do you make about Vincent Kompany's thoughts onto Erik ten Hag and how he's going to hate to deal with issues at the club of Manchester United? I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. May the living to God bless you abundantly. Rokan David remains my name, and the Muslim viewers and subscribers, Barak Lau Fikum, may Allah grant you all what you need and asking for, and may Him also protect you abundantly and really put you to where you deserve to be. Thank you very much for watching through. I sign out. See you later. Good morning. Ciao, ciao.